Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of OverBOTCH. We are heading into the final stages of the season, the final official stage, the Countdown Cup, which will also count as and work as the play-ins for playoffs and grand finals, which we just got a little bit of info about, which we will get into. But as always, I am joined by the greatest root bear and plexomatic. We are going to talk about first, though, of course, it's always on a Wednesday. We record these live on a Tuesday. If you're here with us live, we love you and appreciate you. It always feels like on Wednesday, either like all hell breaks loose with like league drama, or like there's new information about the game. So of course, that had to happen last week. Again, we went out on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, courtesy of some lovely leakers, we got the new as a result of the leakers who had kind of spoiled some of the Kiriko information, Overwatch kind of scrambled and did a big dump of a lot of the season 1 Kiriko new hero information. This is the Kanazaka Fox Girl, which has been teased for so long and everything like that. And we've been getting trickles of information, but they, like I said, as a result of a not quite Grand Theft Auto 6 level leak, but a leak last week.
That was a straight up hack.
That's
a whole other level. Oh boy,
yeah,
like it's source code.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, that was oodles of
dude. That was crazy.
Madness.
That's friggin' bad. Yeah, but I think this is interesting, man. It's Kiriko. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So
I feel like Jonak would have been awesome on this character.
It feels so. A couple of things kind of came out about her. So, I should here. I'm going to switch screens for a second. I'm going to bring up her abilities because we'll talk about her. She seems very precise. Let's put it that like it's one of those characters that on paper, and here we go. I'll bring it up. Her kit seems like, oh my God, we've got another invulnerable, another immortality field in this protection Suzu. And then she can literally warp through walls with this swift step, and she's got a lot of these things that I'm like, wow, like a lot of new heroes, seems OP on paper, but from a lot of the more nuanced information from people who play tested her, it seems like a lot of it is very like it's not her kunai are not easy to hit because she has a 3 times multiplier for headshots as opposed to 2 times like everybody else, but everybody who played her was like, it is not easy to hit a headshot. I don't know if there's a little bit of like fall off or like it's projectile, it falls.
It's probably projectile. That's the
thing.
100%. She's not a hit scan. So I think that's what we're actually seeing, which is great.
Yes.
I think it'll be interesting too because okay, do you remember when I was joking about how I have no business playing Zen, but when I play Zen in Overwatch 2, it's like it's just about structure. That game is so structured because it is brawlier. It's just how it is. And I can do pretty well because people want to play like it's still Overwatch 1, which you cannot do. Right? The game is fundamentally different. What I think is interesting though is that the way people wanted that like dynamic, I'm gonna move around and shoot from random angles, things like that. I'm like, this is actually interesting because that wall blip skip is really interesting to get back to point. Right, that's so critical. Like, where this is going to be crazy? The push maps, because you can go through at least one obstacle that makes you have to go around. So your time to fight, your time to target is so much shorter. And if you are on your way, right, and someone's like, "Oh God, they're getting like crushed," she throws her heals. Like brick, right? So you get distance heals and an invulnerability. You get angles because you can climb, which means you can bail out your team really fast. I know we're talking about her being a damage dealer. That's what people are looking at, but I'm like, that is not the point. It's an escape. Dude, she escapes. Everyone's thinking about this wrong. The climb means if it gets really dusty, she's a healer who can climb.
Yeah, she basically
nobody does that. So she
creates the scenario, kind of like with Echo and
Yes. So
in that
now
she's got vertical healing as opposed to horizontal healing as we have.
Exactly. So what I see it doing is like you get into a fight, you back out, you can create some distance with those shots. You can even get a couple kills, but what you're actually doing is if someone tries to dive or do an attack or a rush or whatever, you jump and get the F out of the way, and you throw down the negation. Because she debuffs the attack. Think about this for a second. Everyone gets hit by a nade or whatever the F it is. We haven't seen it yet. I haven't read through all the details, but you know what you do? You bug out, bam.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she can do it. You can't trap her now. In the halls of Coliseum or whatever it is. Is that what it is? The with the long hall?
Coliseum.
Yeah.
That's
You can just
Roman
climb
Arena.
and you're away from the friggin' nades. It's actually she's a incredible. I joke. She's like that hero is gonna save some people's butts. Like it's going to be
my God.
wild. Everyone's so focused on she can go in and attack. No, man.
No,
she's
dude.
a
He's
support.
a support first.
Yes.
And when you look at that, the bug out nade, nothing. This, nothing, invulnerable. So when you combine that with like a BAP's invulnerability, you can completely murk people's dive.
Yeah. Well, my big question about this is, and this is something I've encountered with Smite, is can you use the teleport through the spawn walls? That I'll be interested to see, because there's abilities.
I bet you have to wait till you get out, right? That's right.
That's what I hope. Because there are certain characters in Smite, I think it's Giannis and Cleaner. Giannis can create a teleport, basically a portal, much like Kiriko can, but he can do it through the spawn wall. Cleaner can actually phase into walls out of the spawn room. So I'll be curious to see how they balance that aspect, because let's assume, taking Richard's example, you're at the end of a push map, you need a stall pick. Typically, stall picks are Moira and Lucio for support. Can you then use Kiriko to get through the wall? Cool, and boom. So I'll be interested.
I bet you have to leave the room first. You can't activate until you leave, because it'll be like this. It's like a sim. Remember, they've all the changes recently have like well, not recently. Like hamster ball, you can't grapple inside. I think they're gonna get rid of all that.
Which I think
stuff
they should revert.
So the other thing to keep in mind too with that, as far as a stall pick though, no, she couldn't do it solo because the teleport is like the Mercy Swift fly. She goes to an ally. She doesn't just teleport to teleport. She's got you have to have an ally in front of you through the wall. You click and then you will zoop to them.
Oh, I'm with you.
Yeah. So, and what my curious is two things. One, how long is the warp animation? Is this like a, or is it like zoop and she's there like Mercy, like you hit it and you go? And
then, you know what? Yeah.
What is the distance? Is the other question.
So I mean, well, I guess we'll see. This is one of those questions where, like, I know we're, obviously, like, kind of hypothesizing on this. The reason is, obviously, we do have teleports. We have Sim. We've got these standards for the time
Reaper.
to set. For time to set. Reaper has a time to set. I don't think if hers is instant, it'll be interesting. I just want to see how it works, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, because what's the actual description, right? Teleport directly to an ally.
Yep.
So
even through
how
walls.
far?
Yes, exactly. What is the distance on that?
Okay, it sounds to me like it's a hybrid of Moira Fade and Reaper Teleport. It seems like a hybrid of that from my perspective.
And then throw in the Mercy Guardian Angel or whatever.
Yeah. But it specifically says ally. So that's sort of the clause that sort of negates a lot of,
because there has to be a distance limiter. And my hunch is the distance limiter will probably be something like the distance it takes to heal times 2.
So you think it'll be longer than the heal?
So yeah, it'll be like, so for what you're saying.
Or Richard, actually, you know what? Actually, wait, hold on. What's her? You know what? It might just be the distance of her heal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because because it allows you to get the healing Ofuda down, and it also allows you to throw down the what do you call it? The protection.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to have obviously some distance limit, otherwise it would be nonsensical.
Of course, yeah. Then you could do it across the map from spawn.
Yeah, and the game would never end.
Yes. So, yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. But I think she seems like a lot of fun. The invulnerable, for example, that invulnerable thing too that I was talking about. Everyone freaked out for a moment. Oh my God, we have another immortality field. It is a 0.75 second invulnerability and cleanse. So that is, it has to be like
a lot of time. Holy crap. 0.75?
Yeah, less than 1 second.
That's still a lot, man.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what it takes to turn a fight.
No, I get that, but I guess it's not something you can just go, I think somebody has an ultimate. Let me throw this down here, and it'll sit here for 20 seconds. You have to, like...
You throw it after the ultimate, because it debuffs, it makes everyone get up after the Rhine Shatter.
Right. So that's what you just have to... But you have to time it pretty... Or you protect yourself from a tire, from a Diva Bomb, from
here's a thought for you, gents. Is that healing thing going to be ammo based or cooldown based?
Oh,
because assuming it's ammo based, you can be like Baptiste. Like one is heal, one is the kunai.
Yeah, I think it's going to be ammo based. It wouldn't make sense otherwise, right? Because you can't. The only other option is your Moira and it's continuous, and then there's a charged.
Well, the other option is it could be like Brigitte's repair packs.
No. Well, here, let's work this out. Let's look at this out. Kunai, that's left click, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the healing is right click. Wall climb
doesn't count. Wall climb doesn't count. Ultimate doesn't count. That's Q. So then there's protection,
which is going to be E, and then I think swift step is shift. So I think Afuda, I think is alternate.
It's right click.
It's alternate right fire.
Click. Yeah. I like how we're like, where does this map to the mouse, guys? Where does this map?
But I think that, I remember thinking that exact same thing with Junker Queen. I'm like, where's my E? Where is my mouse button or whatever? I mean, we have no idea, but that would be my guess since you are firing something at an ally. I would guess it would be alternate fire. So I would imagine.
Yeah.
Or it could be like an orb where it's like you get one big burst of healing.
Yeah.
And then it cools down and then another burst.
Although, one thing about the right click, and this I see where Plex is coming from. If it's a right click, the right click heals you have to aim. The button click heals that have cooldowns, you don't really aim them, like you lock on. So actually, looking at this now, well, yeah, because swift step can't be the right click. The protection can't be the right click either. So this has to be the right click. But the right click is never based on a cooldown. So the question is, I think her Ofuda goes straight. I don't think, but it says they seek. You know what?
So if you watch the footage, it does kind of like, it is not like a hit scan like a Brig Pack, which is like, or a Zen Orb, where it's just like, I see the person, boom, they have it. It is like a wave. It almost looks like a tracking Moira heal.
Yeah,
like it's like a wavy thing, but it
like
does
like a little letter following you, and it goes. Yeah, I know.
So like, I think you need to be near them, and it kind of like homes in on them.
Maybe they're gonna add a cooldown on the right click.
Maybe.
You never know. Or you know what it could be. You know what it actually. Oh, you know what it might be, Plex. It could be a hybrid. It could be you have 3 shots and then the cooldown to get more ammo, like Brigitte's pack. But it's the right click. So it's ammo with cooldown. It's ammo with cooldown. Yeah,
not Baptiste could be the good example. Is that his 2 ways of firing have separate ammo counts, and if one runs out, you reload the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it may end up being something like that.
Which is a little bit nonsensical. Why would you ever design a rifle where if you have 2 types of ammo, you have to replace the entire magazine? It doesn't make any sense.
It's one for the weapon engineers.
It's
not done. Like this is like when you had like M1 guaranteed to fire off all your shots.
I've experienced a similar thing when I used to play Red Faction 2, because the NICW, that was an assault rifle with a grenade launch underneath. You ran out of grenades, the game would try and reload, but you have to hold down the trigger to keep shooting.
But this doesn't make sense, because when you reload a grenade launcher, it's a rear load. Like that's how they work.
Anyway, that's something.
Don't get the truth get in the way of a good time, right?
It's true. No, but I think it'll be really cool, man, because I love the idea of the big thing we've noticed is like exits, right? The thing that's really disengagement. Sort of out of the game is disengagement, and she has a wonderful disengagement mechanic, and I think this is going to be really, really cool. It's what that does now require though is it requires your supports to have that. So we talked about this really early on. The biggest shift between console to PC Overwatch, right, is always its verticality. The console play doesn't have a lot of verticality by virtue of design. And it leads to a certain way of thinking, and a lot of supports don't think with verticality. Genji mains are really good at this. Hanzo mains are really good at this. If you are any of the flight characters, you have to be, right? That's why learning Diva, even though she's quote-unquote easy to use, as some people say, it still takes a little bit of time to understand verticality. This is really interesting because verticality on a disengage when you're doing support leads to all sorts of very unique opportunities to actually sustain fights and to like really bug out, because you can see what's going to happen. You don't have to save everybody, but you could focus on, remember, there's only 5 people on your team, and if you're playing tight comps by virtue of, like, you just got to, it's going to get used to save the tanks.
Yeah,
sure.
Especially since there's only one tank on each team.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right. So I think it's really cool. I think it'll be really interesting. You just are going to need a very good player on that hero, which will make the very early runs of Overwatch 2.
So what you're saying is that rules us out.
It's going to be awful.
Yeah.
It's.
But I will say this: I think it's hats off to the devs, because it says on the screen here, everyone who has Overwatch 1 gets instant access.
Yeah. So all those people who are complaining, I'm like, see, guys, you don't have anything to complain about now.
You got to wait and see. Don't bit your coffee out.
Yeah, like
this is the internet.
Stop complaining. Stop complaining so much.
It's the internet. Yeah. The minute you get a crumb. It was absolutely. And so before we move on, I just want to touch. We don't have to go because there's a lot of info in this season 1, the battle pass and the new stuff coming out. But yeah. So we found Kiriko will be free for previous Overwatch 1 players as part of that like founders pack. You'll get that. You'll get a couple skins and stuff like that too. For anyone who owns Overwatch 1, you'll also get her if you the premium battle pass, the $10 battle pass like every game has. You'll get her instantly. So we did find out on the free battle pass, she will be at level 55 out of 80, which it's not bad. It's a little. It seems a little high. I feel like 30, like level 30, might be a little bit better to give new players a little bit of a sooner access.
How long does it take to like level up? That's the question. We don't know.
Yeah, people have had numerous theories. I believe in an interview, and if I'm wrong in this, internet, I apologize. But I believe it was Spectre who said something along the lines. It'll take. What was it? It was like if you are a hardcore, one of our hardcore players, like who's grinding the game, you'll get her, and you're on the free battle pass. You'll get her within the first few weeks. If you're in the quote unquote average player who maybe only plays a few hours a week or something like that, it may take until the end of the season to get it.
Yeah.
How long? Okay, so here's this is one thing we'll only find out once we play.
True.
Okay, so she takes a little bit longer to unlock, but you'll get her eventually. My question is, if you're on the battle pass and it's the free battle pass, I'm assuming that's continuous and it never ends. Otherwise, does your experience get reset at the start of the next season and you have to do it again to try to get her?
There was not exact clarification, but from what I took from it, I think the battle pass will expire. Like season 1, you have season 1 to get it. If you don't play for a season or you jump in on the last 2 days of it or whatever, it will run out and reset with the season 2 battle pass. However, so you might lose those cosmetics that are in the battle pass unless they show up in the store or something. But the heroes, that has been confirmed that there will be free routes in the future to get them later on, like special challenges or something. There will never be a 100% paywall. There will always be a free option. What that is entirely, we don't know.
Which
but
to me says that the devs have thought about these sort of things. They've got the contingency plans in place.
Yes.
And that is actually really healthy for me. Because I normally play like 2 to 3 hours a day at most.
Right.
And they've actually said that you won't get new heroes in competitive for 2 weeks after release. So for example, Kiriko here is October 4th. So if let's assume that there was a ranked season that time as well, you won't be able to play Kiriko until what? That is this October. I'm just trying to work out the dates in my head. Yeah, they're thereabouts. So that's actually means there's a 2-week window where players can get into the game and unlock her. And I think that's actually really healthy because from a dev standpoint, they could retune the hero and create essentially a soft staggered release. And it works for the players because they can get a familiarity with the hero.
Yeah, and it also
go ahead.
There's all sorts of benefits, right? Like if you stagger a hero release, like it leads to less here, think of it this way. I mean, we don't know how this affects comp yet. I'm still convinced they're going to create different comp queues for people who have access to the hero and not. I don't think we're going to be in the same queues. The main reason is that actually creates a benefit for people who like pay for immediate access. Your queues get shorter. Like there's all sorts of engineering reasons why this gets better. The second reason is it's really weird to play an objective-based team shooter with like still a limited hero pool where like random people are missing, especially like we just don't have enough to absorb it. But third, it also helps because the worst thing that I've ever had is when you have a comp season where everything's busted and like they just end up pulling the character anyway. Like we've seen that happen. It's like it's dumb. Like and it sucks because they're doing their best to get things out. Staggering is a reality, but in the end, as long as your ability to access the character is cumulative, then it's fine.
Yeah.
If they make it so that it resets, you gotta like you go back to 0, which I can't imagine them doing because you'd have to be next level kind of bozo to come up with that idea. But if they did that, then they're in big trouble. But I don't think that's going to happen.
So like you're saying, like somebody jumps in a little late, they get to the end of the season, they're at level 48.
49. Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And then they just lose all that into the, I hear what you mean.
I can't imagine that happening. That like that's just weird, you know?
Yeah.
Really. But like I said, in the end, I think what we have to do is see what this looks like. Because remember, one of the reasons why you do this is that you want to it's being used to encourage MAUs, like monthly active users, and time per session. Like that's why you create these kinds of mechanics, because people aren't playing because they're enjoying their game. They're doing it because they want to get something. Like
there's a final goal sort of thing.
Think of seasonal events where people are like, all of a sudden everyone's playing again just to get the skin and then go away. But now you're doing this with heroes. And it kind of makes sense, right? And it also does make sense to some game designers to say, okay, if you are putting in more time, that you get the better experience, or just pay $10 whole.
Yeah, or whichever it is for your currency denomination.
Yeah, your local currency. But
so exactly,
this 100%. Is my big question, and I'm not sure if either of you heard anything about this, but what constitutes going up a level of the battle pass? Because we've seen the system for skins recently where it's 24 matches played, and then wins count as 2. Will they use a similar system for the battle pass? Because I've not seen anything about that yet.
No, I don't think they've confirmed. I would imagine. I don't think it's going to be the simple like wins or losses. I don't think it's going to be that. I think there will be, because you'll have things like weeklies and daily challenges are being introduced, which we've seen in other games.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to go back to like a more traditional like XP system. So like a win will get you more XP, but also if you lose, but you hit 3 of the daily challenges where you got 10 eliminations or you used your ultimate 5 times, you'll get more. Even though you lost, you'll get a bunch of XP because you hit some of the challenges and stuff like that. I would imagine it's going to go pretty much straight quote unquote XP. That would be my guess, but I don't know.
Say, one thing I do appreciate, so the challenge system, I think it's going to be a healthy change for the game in general, not just for acquiring experience, things like that. But I've said before how some games you can actually tailor the challenges to encourage your players to play a certain way. So I'll be curious to see if they do that, because I've said in some games, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, there's challenges, things like attack with the monster 5 times, so you play a certain way to sort of almost engineer those situations.
Yes.
So you can potentially say, for example, be on the payload in escort for, let's say, 30 seconds.
Yep.
So you could encourage players to actually adjust their playstyle and thus do what I think has been lacking in a lot of PvP games, and that's actually teach the game rather than go, these buttons do this, and then you're in.
I have there's a lot of validity to that. I have a pretty big counterpoint to that, and it was a huge issue in Halo when it was first launched, in addition to a lot of other ones. But no, so the thing with challenge, and like at first, mate, you can do that for a while, but at some point you're just gonna have to either repeat challenges or do kind of random challenges. And this is especially in ranked play, if the challenges be on the payload for a minute during your match, it's like, what if the strategy is like, okay, guys, we need to go. We need to spread out and like pincer them. No, I need to do my 1 minute challenge. Sorry, I'm staying on the payload.
So to answer your point, in that kind of challenge, you make it cumulative, so you don't have to do it all in one go.
But I'm saying people will. They'll be like, no, I'm going to sit here and get my 6 headshots.
It's a challenge when you're in an objective team-based shooter. So the same thing happens in Gundam, right? In Gundam Evo, we'd have situations where the challenges were just like programmatically. They were created programmatically, so it'd be like some of them made no sense. It was like get X number of kills with like this random unit, and you're like, okay, so you end up in squads where people had no idea how to use the unit because they were just trying to get 5 headshots.
Yeah, exactly. Right? That's the tough part. Like, I mean, there's the idea of like you disable challenges for ranked play where it.
I think that's the easy solution because we were all in quick play, and I think it's fine. I think it's fine in quick play because it actually encourages you to learn new units.
Yeah, that's the place to mess around with stuff and just like try weird strats and have fun and it's much more casual. And then you're going to get some of your ranked people be like, well, I hit like 40 headshots this match and none of it counted towards my challenges. But I think those will be the vocal minority.
And I think that's also one of those cases where you preserve the competitive integrity and the structure because it just ensures whether you if you want those challenges, go to quick play. And I think that makes sense because quick play is where you're supposed to go to practice anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So
can you imagine if one of the challenges is get a Torp hammer kill?
Oh, I'm sure
that would be hilarious.
That'd be great. I like stuff like that. Again, as long as you keep it in like the casual playlist, I love shit like that. I think that's very cool.
There are fundamental issues though too, right? Like it means you can't have challenges for tanks because you'll never get them. You'll never get the queue.
Yeah, but imagine if Torbjorn hammer kill, you get a voice line. Yeah, like from 2020. You remember when Uber goes BKB? Behave yourself. Put the hammer away.
Yeah, it's so funny though. Like I said, challenges also don't work with roll lock. That's the other issue.
It's gonna be generic enough that anyone can do it.
You won't because you can't act. That means you have to queue for specific roles, which you can't do because if it's a tank, you'll never get in.
Like here's the thing. Like you will. It will be a longer queue.
Yeah, a 30-minute. You can't have that.
In quick play, you think it'll be a 30-minute queue?
Think of the beta. It's only one tank.
I never had a 30-minute queue in the beta.
I never played tank in beta. I never got in.
Oh, see, like I don't know, like there were some 10-minute plus waits, but
I had long queues, but they weren't that
way
long.
too long.
Yes, I agree.
That's too long.
I agree that is long, and I would have to imagine ultimately it will be the longer queue. It'll be like the new DPS queue, but again, in quick play, I think it'll even itself out at the beginning. Yeah, all the hype, it'll pop up, but maybe too. The other thing is, again, if all these challenges and all the things you're talking about, if it is only in the casual playlist, who says they don't have open queue in arcade? You know what I mean?
Where exactly.
You could play 5 tanks if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
I mean, or 5 Torbs.
Yeah, or 5 Torbs. No limits, baby. But we should move on. Like, there's so much to break down, but we have a limited time today, and we have league stuff to talk. So everybody go check out the season 1 information. It's all over the Overwatch page and everything like that. But for us, we got to talk about the league, and really quickly, we're just going to have a quick touch on the return of the Grand Finals LAN event, international. This is what we wanted for Midseason Madness. It is happening. Anaheim Convention Center back in Anaheim, California, which Anaheim Convention, is that where like season 1 events and stuff? Yeah, or BlizzCon. Okay, that's where BlizzCon would be.
I mean, Richard could probably correct me on this, but I believe the World Cup was held there.
Yes, somebody told me that. Yes, it was that's where the Overwatch World Cup was. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, November 3rd through 4th, October 30th. So 4th is the grand finals. I don't know if that'll be like upper and lower finals and then the grand final, or if it'll literally just be the grand final matchup. October 30th through November 3rd, the playoffs happen. Like we said, Countdown Cup and play-ins will be over the next 6-8 weeks leading up to that. And this will be cool. I'm gonna head there. I've already made some plans to try to be there at least for the 3rd and 4th. Something I was confused on a little bit though. In the announcement for the play, they said playoffs tickets coming, but it seems like you can only attend. They will be there playing on LAN at the venue with no fans for October 30th through November 2nd.
Yeah, it was confusing.
That's the way I read it. I don't know.
Okay,
though.
so I did ask.
Okay.
So some of the supporter clubs were asking about this, and that is what is happening because it was so confusing because people thought they now had to fly in on the Tuesday or whatever it was.
Yeah.
They don't. You can only go to the finals. It's really confusing. Also, I don't know why. I actually no. I take that back. I do know why they don't have fans on site for those other games. I get it. Just less to worry about. Simple. You don't have to worry about COVID issues. I totally get it.
Sure.
It was just confusing. The main focus will be the finals, but everyone will be there, which is the most important thing.
Yes, no, that's very true. And whatever, you'll catch the playoffs finals on November 3rd, and then like I said, the grand final. I don't know if they'll do like lower finals and then grand finals in one day, or if it'll literally just be the one match.
I guess it'll be the one match.
You just got to make a full event out of that. Like people are going to pay money. They're going to pay a full price ticket to come to watch one match. You just better have other events and stuff.
That's what we did for season 1. The first season was like that.
Okay.
I will admit, I'm trying to think. When is BlizzCon itself? I don't know. If
they did announce the return of it. Did they announce
the
return of it?
Is my question.
I don't think so.
Because in theory, you could
do BlizzCon events.
Because you have BlizzCon events, and then say a separate ticket for the grand finals. But one thing I do appreciate this is it's a controlled environment.
Yes.
So obviously, as you say, COVID issues. So they know they've used Anaheim Convention Center before. So it's things that they know they've minimized as many of the variables as they can from a health standpoint.
Right.
So that is, in terms of where they could have gone, this is probably the most healthy option.
Plus, and I'm hi world. I'm not trying to be disparaging, but like we're still trying to rebuild, kind of attention and faith in the league and everything like that. How confident are you in selling tickets to 7 events, 7 days worth of events versus 2? Well, you know what I mean?
The issue is what's the date, right? The date of the final is
November 4th, Thursday, November 4th.
November. That's a Friday. November 4th is a Friday.
Is it? Oh, okay. Whoops.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If it starts on the 2nd, the Wednesday, no one's going to those games anyway, guys. It's a weekday in Anaheim. You know what that traffic is going to be like? How many people are actually making out during those kinds of work hours? We see this every single time there's a homestand. Those Thursday night event, the Thursday and Friday have awful attendance because people have jobs.
Say the Toronto one, you were there.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they're not doing Friday, Saturday. I'm very surprised.
Money, guys, it costs money.
Yeah, well, of course, it costs way more to run these buildings on the weekend. 110%.
And honestly, schedules, weird things, like you get what you can find. Like that is, I feel for any event manager, man, who has to do this kind of stuff. It is brutal. It is so tough to find times. Quite frankly, I think what we're looking at here is there's some realities for scheduling. It's the bet. It's what they can do. If you're going to have a weeknight, that's good. Friday is technically still a weeknight. It is a wonderful night because you can sometimes get off work a little bit earlier on a Friday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what they're up against. Like honestly, this is the best they can do, and I think not hosting the event live makes a lot more sense because now those games don't have to be played in the arena. Those games can be played in any other room, which means they don't have to spend the cost of renting an arena, have
a full week,
figure out how to do the shoot when they got to do general admission, all the headaches. Like, it just means we know the gameplay, like not unlike Hawaii, will be balanced. They'll be in the same spot, right? So the same benefits and drawbacks.
Yep.
And when you need to put on the show, every dollar goes into creating an awesome experience.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, yeah, actually, this. If I had to do it, that's actually what I'd do. Because it means the show is really like it's the show.
Yeah,
and I think it's
hoping
cool.
for no technical difficulties on the night of the grand finals, but
exactly. Oh, but this is the thing, they get all this time now to test it, and nothing will get in their way.
Yeah.
Because they can now test that independently of the regular streams.
Yes.
Because what they're going to do is the broadcast team that handles online game broadcast is different than the events team.
Yep.
Like, I saw the work, man, that the site events team had to put in, as they were going. I saw what they had to do. It was tough, man. But when you're doing that and you're live to air, like Matt, You'll know exactly what this is like when you find that a camera's failed and you have to change your program in Ring to face not the hard angle. But you do it, and I'm certain you've done it. I've heard crazy stories about this where you're like, thank God the ring's a square because you can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you just like, but it's tricky because you create those cues, right? With like, okay, the chair, because you use it to measure distance, speed, height, all that stuff. But I think this is really good. I think this this is going to give the league the best shot at doing the best production because they can split, divide and conquer. But now they can really focus. Think about it, like all things like decorations, lighting, testing the screen, double checking things, reinforcing cables. You know,
they might hand walls don't explode.
Yeah, and then they'll know, like, and trust me, man, like they need this to be the league does need this to be a big show. And this is, to me, it's like this is a great showing. I mean, I think as fans, we should be really happy that this is the approach they've taken.
It's the middle ground overall.
Yes. And it's
health,
safe.
finance.
Yeah,
you want the fans there.
We want that because this is a sustainable solution. That's what we want to see, and they're going to put on the best show possible, and I think that's awesome. I think that's really good for everybody involved in the scene.
Yeah,
you know, I hope people don't get salty over this. That just seems very short-sighted. I'd be really disappointed if they did.
Yeah,
so I'm just thinking. So, how big, in terms of seating, is that convention center? Just so we have a bit of an idea of what we might see.
It's the Anaheim Convention Center, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Anaheim Convention Center. So it's okay. So this is what's also interesting. It's a convention center, right? It is not a formal arena per se, because this is where they do BlizzCon, right? So all they're doing is
which is not happening this year, by the way. Just for you were asking.
Yeah, so they normally do it in February or something like that anyway.
So the capacity is actually quite small. So the main theater, I think it's like, small is relative. Sorry, small compared to football.
Sure.
In the Plex. Sorry, not small for us in North America.
Depending on where you are.
Yeah. It's 7,500 people. But that is
that's still a good crowd.
No, hear me out though. That is for sports, most likely for basketball.
Yep.
Right, because you're thinking of the smallest court possible. Because usually with these specs, the numbers can. I doubt they've gauged this for baseball. It wouldn't make any sense. For boxing, but they have different ballrooms that hold different amounts of space. So it's anywhere between like 2,000, I think, to like 7,500.
I was gonna say probably 3,000 would be my guess.
So my hunch is they're choosing a smaller venue. My estimate is they're going to try to lock this at about 5,000 people, so they can either use the main arena if it's better wired up, or like where you saw the Overwatch World Cup, right? There's some benefits there. Center stage, both teams facing outward, right? Mixed screens all around. You can do this really well. So what I would do is I would take a look and see where the OWCC was played, if that was actually done in the arena. I think it was, but they had more people.
Yeah.
Right? But that's my hunch though.
So final thing before we move on. Which casting duo do you think will do the grand finals? Because we've had Uber and Mr. X do it every year, but let's assume that they're not available. Which of the casting duos do you want to see do it?
Well, I mean, it is going to Uber and Mr. X. Obviously.
Yeah, assuming they're not doing it. Who else do you think would you want to see do it?
If it's me?
Yeah, I'd say Achilles and Avril.
Oh.
Those two.
Those are your two veteran teams. I would imagine it would be one of those two.
Yeah.
Everybody else is kind of like your new talent this season. So
yeah,
I would honestly give it to Achilles and Avril this year. I mean, they'll give it to Uber and X. Don't get me wrong. I would see Achilles and Avril.
Thinking with my head, I'd go Achilles and Avril, but who I would put in, because I know they could handle this, it would be Kiwi and Leg Day.
Yes.
They could handle it because they're dynamic, because they perfectly understand the whole, there's a play-by-play and a color fill. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, like my favorite thing is like the missus was so funny because I had Uber and X up the other day, and she was laughing because like Uber's getting so excited. He goes, "Oh my god, it's a disaster! What's happening?" And then Mr. X will come in and be like, "Well, that was
he's very deadpan.
I don't know why they chose to do that. It's a decimation of epic proportions."
Yeah,
and it was like, well, that's not what I would have decided to do in that situation.
Yeah.
Like it's perfect, right?
One
But I
thing
think
I like-
but Avril and Achilles can obviously handle that like incredibly well too. The only one left that can really pull that off are Leg Day and Kiwi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
agree.
it's such a
What's great about those two is that they actually can both do play-by-play and color. They sort of bounce the dynamic between
Yes.
each other.
So yeah, but I that's the thing, I would love to see that. But you know what's again, I think it's really awesome is that there are options. Should something happen, should
Sure.
something crappy happen, there are options. And what's really nice is by having one show, one focus, I'm certain, if I'm not mistaken, Matt, that makes it that much easier for because Uber's had some trouble, right, with visas. I don't know if his US stuff got fixed, but if it's a one-off show one night, that is way easier to do. That's
Sure.
like doing a concert.
Yeah,
That becomes so much easier. So that again, what we're going to see, my firm belief is we're going to see we're going to see obviously everybody else do all the games leading in. I think we'll see Achilles and Avril probably do the semifinals, all the stuff heading. I think what we'll actually see is them being the lead for all the games leading up to the grand finals.
Can see that.
And then we'll see a mix of the rest. But like again, I think the beauty is that there are options here.
100%.
Right. I think the only challenge is like they would have to fly to technically get in, so that would obviously throw a wrench into that plan.
So would Trid as well, because he's based in the UK as well. Achilles is based in Korea. Avril is in Australia, I believe. It's Australia, New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be a case of getting them over.
So just really hope that nothing happens to Uber.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Him getting through.
Yeah,
Keep that man healthy.
No kidding. Let's keep everybody healthy.
Yeah. Although, it'd be funny if you had to do a random mix, because quite frankly, for that style, I was like, if you need a style like that, then put Kiwi in with Mr. X. Which I think would be.
Oh my God, please. Yes.
No, I think it could work because the styles fit. I think they can. There's in-ring chemistry.
Yes.
On that, I think they could do that. Like, and Kiwi's based in the States, so
yeah.
Honestly, I think this is really smart because the more things you need live, the more visas, the more timing. There's so many things to figure out. You keep it on stream. You're buying yourself 2 or 3 days to get things fixed. And I think that really works because in the end, all you really have to get is 1 day.
Yep.
And that almost always clears.
Just
like
no
lessons learned and being applied, guys.
Yeah.
I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, but of course we need to figure out what the meta is and who's going to be there, don't we? So
yes, yes we do. Yes we do.
So yeah, segue.
Good, wonderful segue. Let's all hear it. Let's hear it for the seg. Yeah, so no, we're heading into Countdown Cup. We do know, I guess we'll touch on it again as quick as you can. We didn't get anything official on the new nerfs and balances, but there was a leaked patch a while back, and it seems like, at least as far as the Junker Queen nerfs go, that it was the leak was pretty on point, because Avril confirmed the Junker Queen changes as well as the Sombra changes via Twitter. So here are the notes that we found. It might be hard to read if you're watching this on YouTube, but I'll read a couple of them with us here. So these patch notes are the ones going in, and Plex, as you pointed out to me before the stream today, the Contenders Korea is already playing on this, so they got a little bit of an early jump into this Overwatch 2 patch. But the big ones are Junker Queen's commanding shout. Just her commanding shout. It's the only thing that got changed. Her allied health bonus reduced from 100 to 50 HP. Allied duration reduced from 5 to 3 seconds. The temporary health no longer decays, though. So that's not, I wouldn't call it a buff, but like it's just more consistency. And then the cooldown is increased from 11 to 15 seconds. So lot of nerfing to the commanding shout. So, and then
it needs to happen.
Wait, does her axe still self-heal then?
Yes. Oh, the bleed, everything else still stays. Her knife still bleeds, her axe still bleeds. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
And the throwing knife still bleeds. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we're still gonna see her a lot.
No, we're not. Because
I still think we'll see her, but you've watched a little bit.
So yeah, I watched some Korean Contenders, and we're going back to the rock, paper, scissors of the start of the season, guys.
I love it.
No. For the looks of it.
No way.
Yes, right. Just that. So, the main thing I saw keep in mind, this is Korean contenders. We saw a lot of dive comps.
I like that.
Winston. It was primarily the Winston. We saw a little bit of Diva, but I'm a little bit on the fence of that. We saw the Zarya Brawl comp, so Dallas Fuel, you're ready for that. There was a little bit of Doomfist, but not much, because the reason why I say that, I watched one map on Paracio, and near enough every point, the tank was changing. So
Really?
I don't think the Dante Doomfist strat will work as well.
No, and it sounds like in general there's more of a reintroduction to like main tanks and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, to give you an idea, for most of the map, there was a team playing the Winston dive comp, but as soon as it got to point C, because they were the attacking team, they switched over to a Sigma comp. And to me, he just says, okay, Sigma may not just be on Circuit Royale anymore. Right. I saw him there, and also on a Hollywood defense as well.
No?
But also, the Sombra player, I think, will be key, because the dive variations was Tracer Sombra or Tracer Genji, which means your flex DPS player is going to be on the Sombra.
I've heard a lot about Sombra play, because really quick, that's the other the Sombra hack,
right?
The duration increased from 1 to 1.75 seconds, so it almost doubled. So that's pretty significant.
So looking at our three teams, so Toronto Defiant, Florida Mayhem, and Houston Outlaws for a second. Which of the three flex DPS players, because we're assuming they're each going to run Finale, a Pelican, and Checkmate respectively, which of those three do you think can flex between the Genji and the Sombra mid-map?
Yeah.
That's the question. And also the tank player, keep in mind, may have to switch to these micro metas within the map. So may have to be on the Zarya for one point, and then Sigma the next.
I'm doomed.
Wait, hold on. Orisa got 25, 50 extra hit points. Plus her javelin shoots faster.
Orisa and Diva both got decent little buffs. So yeah, Orisa's supposedly, again, this wasn't officially announced anything, but this all matches up with everything we've seen for like Queen and Sombra.
Yeah.
So like Orisa base health increased from 250 to 275. Armor increased from 250 to 275.
Her booster impact went from 10 to 25.
Yep.
So she can run you over to finish things now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Micro missile cooldown lost a second, and Colmac ultimate cost reduced by 12.
Sojourn railgun energy from non-player targets was reduced by 50%.
Yeah.
That is going to really screw over Vancouver.
You can't just
shoot at barriers and random things and get like it just takes longer if you're a very Sojourn dependent focus.
And I should point out, when I did see the Diva on, I think again it was Paracio, and they were using it in a very defensive manner. So you know when Kaluja would play Diva on Eichenwald?
Yes.
It's that sort of play style. She didn't really offer too much going forward, but in terms of actually dealing with dives and protecting backlines, that's where her strength lies.
Okay. Interesting.
So, I'll be curious to see how it all works out, because obviously this is just Korean contenders. The owl meta could be different.
Absolutely, and it could be different from American contenders. It's one microcosm, but it's an interesting window into what we might see.
Yeah,
but I'm all for variety, especially after that last meta. I'm all for variety.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, variety.
My observation will be that it's going to come down to the tank player and the flex DPS player, because I should point out that the hit scan player will be most likely playing Tracer or some form of long-range hit scan, whether it be the Ashe or the Widowmaker.
Yeah, I've heard the flex supports are back too a little bit. I've heard there's been a decent amount of mana play.
I saw a little bit of May as well with this Sigma comp was, I believe, trying to remember off the top of my head, it was Sigma, May, Bap, Brig, Ashe was this comp run on Paracio. This point C attack.
Contender kids are wild,
it's going to come down to
kids these days.
Hardy ha. So no, it's going to come down to the flex DPS player, because they've got to be able to pick up both Genji and Sombra, in my view.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Of our three teams, I'm not too sure if any of the flex players can actually do it mid-map.
But the other side of that argument is, I think they could. They're all very talented. I mean, I think
no
they're
doubt.
all incredible. Yeah, you know what I mean. They all could, 100%. Like, I mean, Checkmate's proved that time and time again. His flexibility is stupid.
Yeah, of what I've heard, Checkmate can pick up things at the drop of a hat. So
Pelican is too damn good in general to not be able to potentially do that. And although showed us a lot last stage, even though it was a pretty hard meta. So like, I think. But the talent is there. I'm more, I'm doomed, no pun intended, on the frickin' tank line. Because, if there's this much tank versatility and maybe even mid-map switching, we go.
Yeah, but keep in mind that Toronto have the advantage of a second flex DPS player. They've got Finale as well.
That's right. But... yeah, it'll be interesting. So as we look here, and I'm not even sure, so we'll look at the standings here as we start heading into the final stretch of the season. Before that, we're going to take a look at this OWL stat. So there's a couple of teams out here that can, even if they go 0-6 in the Countdown Cup, are still locked for playoffs. And there's the teams you'd expect. But to read them off, the Shock, the Fuel, the Glads, and in the East, of course, Dragons and Dynasty. It's been a two-horse race over there. So those teams can go 0-6. So it'll be, it's the curious, kind of like last year with Shanghai, the final stage of the season. Are they going to kind of take it easy? Are they going to kind of like, hey, if we lose 3 or 4 games, whatever, we're already locked?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, in a meta like this, where it's assuming it's going to be very diverse, this is a great opportunity to test things out, isn't it?
Yeah, try out some strats, even if it doesn't work. Be like, okay, we know that doesn't work for finals, for playoffs, right?
Yeah,
and
at the same time, you can keep certain things to yourself.
Yep, absolutely. And so, as we're looking at this, it's a pretty steep drop off, especially when you look at the map differential. Once you get to the bottom of this West ranking, Florida
there's
actually
Paris right down there.
Oh yeah.
God, so our team
it's awful. Stop it, guy. I know. Hey, so I mean, New York and Vancouver aren't making it. That's the problem, right? Because they have to win every single game. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
it sucks.
And even despite having a really rough, right? Boston going 6-6. They're the cutoff, and I'm like, but yeah, even though that's a pretty crummy, they have a pretty crummy map diff of -15, and they're dead even at 6-6. But yeah, man, Vancouver, they have to have a hell of a stage. I think do they have to have pretty much a perfect stage to overcome?
Like how many games? Also, it's 6 games, right?
Yep.
So even if they win all 6, the best place they take is 8th.
Yeah.
Right. Like you cannot get ahead. So if you win 6, you get 9. You'll be so Washington will have to lose every single game.
I was about to say.
By the way, it is not an 8 team. It is not an 8 team game. It is 10 team. 10 teams will make playoffs.
But what I'm saying is, but 9. But what I'm saying is, that means they have to get to a total of 8 wins.
Yes. Yep.
Or 9 wins, right? Which means Washington has to lose every single game.
Yep.
Boston can't win any more than 3. Like,
it's pretty uphill.
It's possible to do this, but it also means they have to not lose.
Yes, exactly. They have to be perfect.
And more importantly, they have to be sure to keep that map differential as under control as they can.
Yeah, they got to get as many 3-0s as they can.
They cannot, which isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, that's the issue, because if you tie with Washington at 8, you have to make up from Washington 25 maps? No way. I mean, if they do this, I will send you 2 root bears, like actual plush root bears.
Their schedule is a mix.
Yeah,
it's a mixed bag.
Dallas is there. Okay, so look, Dallas is there. The
Glads are there. Toronto's there.
It's not
Florida's
happening.
there. Yeah.
No, so they're not getting the 3-0s and they're not getting the wins. It's not going to happen.
There's no shot.
Because they have to win everything. It's no shot. No way. Right? They should all just do nothing and eat pizza.
Yeah, I mean, you expect them to be competitive, but
Pizza Hut
it's hard to see where they get the wins outside the Paris game.
And more importantly, go to Boston and Washington. That's actually a better check. Because what you need to do is show that they can't win either.
But what about Florida? Where do they factor into this mathematics?
So Houston, So can
Houston,
Boston beat? Okay,
Florida.
Boston's beating. Okay, so it's already over. Boston's beating Paris, right?
Maybe New York.
Maybe. You know what's cool? Boston has to play Washington. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not beating Florida. They're definitely not beating Houston.
They're not beating the Glads.
And they're not beating
And
the
we're
Glads.
saying that with no info on the meta.
No.
Right.
But just team quality. Yeah. It's just.
Yeah. The problem is, even with a tie, the map diff's going to screw these guys over. That's the big issue. It sucks.
Yep.
Right? You're the Hartford Whalers and the Quebec Nordique from like 1991 era NHL.
There's the sports reference.
We just go beat you up and get free points.
Yeah. Washington, Fuel, Shock, New York, okay, Atlanta, Boston, Washington has a slog.
They just have to win one game. They have to win one game, though.
They can do that. They got New York or Washington is possible, I think.
They just need to bring in their super sub. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I suppose they do.
Really, like New York, Vancouver, and Paris should all be getting ready to have Gundam Evolution competitive teams. That's what they should be doing now. It's OverWatch with robots.
Okay,
at this point, just change games.
Okay, so Richard, you'll probably be able to work this out. What do Florida need to guarantee themselves in there?
Florida's in automatically. Nobody can. Well,
they're in the play-ins for sure. Where as far as playoffs at the end of the season.
I'm only considering play-ins. It really doesn't matter, you know. Like Florida's making it to at least something in the postseason because with 9 wins, they're already safe because of the map diff. Nobody's getting to a +4. Nobody's winning every single game with all 3-0s. If there's 6, like how many games? 2, 4, 6, right? That's
6 in this stage. Yeah.
So the best you can get is an 18-0, which already means nobody's map differential can get any better than you.
Yeah.
Yay!
Florida's safe.
Yeah, I mean, Justice.
Look at the teams below. -27. No, but you're not. No. But
these teams. No. But Justice, if Justice have an impeccable stage and Florida has a rough one, it could give them a run
for that record spot. Yeah.
Their records are close enough to where when it comes to playoffs.
Well, no, they're all close. That's the thing. They're all the shifting and the seeding is definitely up for moves. It's do you drop out of the postseason? That's all that I'm focused on. And dropping out of postseason, it's not going to happen for Florida. It can't happen. Because they have to lose, even if they lose every single game, and Vancouver wins every single game.
But I'm not talking about Vancouver. I'm talking about like a Justice, who's right below them in the season standings.
But you've still made the postseason cutoff.
You've made the play-ins, but I'm talking about end of season, final, the playoffs. I know it's hard. We can't really tell, but I think there's no chance any of these bottom 3 teams make play-ins. There's no shot.
Well, in the case for Florida not making it to play-ins, anybody could make it or lose it. Anyone, think about it, there's 6 games, right? Mm-hmm. So if there's 6 games, that means the lowest team at 6 can go as high as 12, which technically means everything from 5 to 10 can change. So there's absolutely no point to calculate it. There's too many teams involved. Because all you ever have to do is look at the lowest placed team and see what the maximum potential they can get, which is to go 6-0, which would take them to 12-12, which automatically puts them at 5th place, assuming London loses every. And yeah, you could say, well, they play each other, this and that. Yeah, sure, but you got to understand the standings in the end are just based on, they're all equal. Everyone plays the same amount of games.
Yeah.
So you look at the max min based off of the lowest performing team and their maximum potential, and then what can you lose everything else? That's the easiest way to do it. Yeah, there's some idiosyncrasies, but we're dealing with like 1 game differentials, so it really makes no difference.
Sure.
And the problem is the map diffs are all well within reason to move.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's true.
Because it's not that you're +9, it's what's the difference between 9 and 2? That's only 7. You see? What's the difference between 2 and 4? Because actually Atlanta has a better map diff. That's 2. What's 2 maps? It's 1 game. So none of this, your seedings, it's going to be a fight for seedings to see who doesn't have to play Dallas and San Francisco.
Yeah.
You just don't want to play them first. But the whole problem is you've got upper and lower ladders anyway, so none of this shit matters.
Okay, so nothing matters. That's the lesson of the day today.
All that matters is Titans, Excelsior, and Paris can't make it.
And have got no shot. That's true.
They basically got no shot. Like, like I said, even like Boston would have to lose like a ton of games. Boston's basically everyone has to beat the crap out of Boston, which I'm okay with. Like I'm totally fine
Of course
with
you are.
everyone being mean to Boston, people from Boston, the city of Boston, and everything related to it.
Leave Southie alone.
I mean, they do have good food at times, but their Dunkin' Donuts thing is so weird, man. Their Dunks thing, I just don't get it.
So APAC.
Screw Timmy's. Anyway.
Oh, APAC's even funnier. So go down. So anyone. So there's how many games are left for APAC?
I believe they should have the same amount. It should be 6 as well.
Yeah.
It's still 6?
It should be.
Yeah, because they've got to play each other once, I believe.
Oh, okay, so 6. Okay, so anyone can make it or lose it. That's a problem. But here's the thing: we know Seoul and Shanghai aren't gonna like completely
they're not going anywhere.
Self-destruct.
Yep. Yeah, there's no way.
But basically, the question is: here's the thing. There's basically no difference between Guangzhou and Valiant. They're both awful. The reason you know this is yes, the standings are the same. Look at the map diffs.
Yeah.
Like, look at the drop off all of a sudden.
Yep.
You're like, +5, -3, -6, -25.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's a huge.
It means when
cliff.
you lose big.
Yep.
Right? Remember when I talked about ERAs? The whole problem with ERAs, and it doesn't mean anything because your ERA can be high because when you win by small. Like when you lose, you get blown out.
Yeah.
That does happen, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
some people are good up until they lose and they get their asses handed to them, and it's a multiplicative scale. So what I was gonna say is, it's anyone's game, but quite frankly, I don't think Valiant's good enough to hold it together, and neither is Guangzhou, because now you're getting back into, if what you're describing, Plex holds together, and you need the team to be good, and it's more focused on, again, like, less like just nose-to-nose brawling, Valiant and Guangzhou don't have a shot.
Even
they got good. They got good because of
a little
this
bit. Yes, exactly. I was just going to say
they're about to get the same thing as Vancouver. They're going to get their asses handed to them.
Yeah, they had a modicum of success, and it's gonna give way.
It's also not great for Toronto because we did really well in this meta. But don't forget grand finals, for whatever friggin' reason, we got a random new hero put in.
That's right. We I forgot to mention that. So they did confirm who was it? Was it Spectre, I believe? Yeah. No, Sean Miller. Excuse me, Sean Miller, who confirmed that for Countdown Cup / play-ins, this next stage, there will be no new hero or anything like that. But just for playoffs and grand finals, Kiriko is in, which will be taking place in November. So in theory, she'll have been released. We'll have already had that little buffer zone before she's in competitive, so there might be a adjustment there before she goes in. But yeah, you get a brand new hero for the literally final week of the season, which is exciting but kind of chaos.
Yep.
So, I mean, we saw with Junker Queen, she was basically insta-locked no matter what. But
yes,
the question is, will Kiriko be in that sort of?
It's going to depend on the play testing and like the public play, and then if and when they, like I said, nerf her or balance her for comp.
Yeah. Because hey guys, I actually got to run. I realize I'm running late for something.
We'll finish up. Yeah, man. Have a good one.
Finish up. But what I will say is this: I'll be totally like 100% honest, and I'll kind of put down the banner waving. Toronto's gonna have a tough slog. If it goes into the meta that Plex is describing, Toronto bats 500 at best. That's generally how they played, right? Leading into this, they made big gains from the brawl meta. We have to assume that that's gonna get lost. So these like momentary upticks we've seen, that's not going to hold, especially if it's Winston again. I'm like, oh shit, because it also means Muse is coming back in.
Yeah, right? yeah, yep.
Like this is
Hopper can play Winston.
Muse was better though.
Fair.
So, but you see so there's a lot of changes, but the thing is, the grand finals are what freaked me out. I hate new heroes being introduced for a one and done game. That's a bad. Like it's going to be a series.
Yep.
That's scary though.
Yeah, it's a little nuts. All right,
but I'll catch you guys
man.
later. And Plex. And everyone, we're going to see everyone tonight for Plex's stream, right? Everyone's going to tune in, give Plex their support.
Damn right.
All right, I'll see you guys in a bit.
See ya.
So
we'll wrap it up here. It'll be interesting. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, it'll be interesting to see how much she does influence the meta, because for me personally, it's going to be a case of you look at professional levels, they will look for that extra 1%, so to speak.
Sure.
So The question is, will Kiriko give that extra 1% if you build a comp around her?
And that's we have zero idea because, like I said, she's going to probably get nerfed or balanced in that first month of play after release. So like, she could be, she could be busted as hell. Like some people think she might be, or like totally game changing. And then I don't know if then they do a Junker Queen style nerf to her in that second week of October, heading into competitive play in Overwatch 2. So then by the time we roll around into the league finals, she could be not much at all, or she could still be hard. We just don't know what kind of effect she'll have until she gets into the public play, and then they decide how they're going to balance her if they need to balance her.
And also, some teams may want to play it safe by going, okay, this worked for us coming up to the playoffs.
Oh, well,
do we then lock this comp, guaranteeing ourselves the best chance?
I really see, especially that late in the game with that little of like prep time and stuff like that. And it would only be, I feel like a lot of teams, unless she is a hard meta pick, like a game changing pick, like a Junker Queen was, like if if the dice land that way where she is that impactful, you have to take that gamble for the most part. Or you don't have to. There are exceptions, but most teams will probably take that gamble. But if it's kind of maybe not, there are going to be several teams who are going to stick with the date that brought them. Like hey, like whether it's Florida with that double flex, they say they master more so that Ana Zen. If Kiriko's not like game changing, they'll probably stick with things like that or other things depending on what it is. But man, I am based on the stuff from Korea and contenders. I am a little worried about the Outlaws. Our tank line is scary, and I'm not sure. It's if there, like I said, there's a return to some of these main tank picks, some of this Winston play, or even like Sigma. That's not a Dante pick, and Doge. I hope he's been practicing. His one game he played was not enlightening, to say the least. I feel bad he's playing, I think he's playing from Europe on ping, but still.
Kind of that big weakness I've seen with Outlaws over the seasons, that they seem to have overinvested the Dante Doomfist and Junker Queen to the point where they're not really as solid on the other comps. So even earlier the season with Piggy coming in, you could tell there was a power drop off at times.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, it's a back and forth because you say that, but they're still sitting at number 4 in the West. Like they have, but we've talked about it before. Like, I feel like there's been a lot of like scrappy, clutch, quote, maybe even lucky moments that have won them some games.
And then there's other games where you wait 2.5 minutes for the first kill.
Oh, sure. But like Houston's, I think, has been the benefactor of a couple like that. No offense, but that Atlanta win was luck. That was a tight game, and that was luck. There was the game not too long ago with there was like a clutch Junker Queen ult, which is, don't get me wrong, it's skill, but it's like if that missed by a meter, they wouldn't have got the value out of it, and they probably would have lost the game. Like. So like it's not like this confident, like, damn, we're kind of rolling through. Like every game, I'm always like, ugh. The Houstonable joke is true. It's like, ugh, I don't feel confident. It's like we might be 4th place. I don't feel like we're 4th place. I feel like we're like, I feel like I'm comfortable 6, like 5 to 7. 4th place feels like we're hanging on by our teeth here, and I think the variability, I think, favors Florida Plex. Here, really quick before we go, I'm gonna take a quick. We were looking at schedules. We looked at Toronto's. Houston, we faced Boston, doable. Baseline, Shock, rough. Paris, very doable. Dallas, rough. Florida, toss up. Toronto. Richard doesn't think they're good. I still think the talent. I think they found a stride and confidence, and I think they could do better than he thinks. That's got to be a tough one too. So there's really only one, maybe 2 confident wins for in my book for Houston in this stage. There's 2 confident wins with maybe Florida could go either way, and then Toronto could go either way.
So Florida could go either way, Toronto either way. Obviously, the battle for Texas, that could be something.
No, man, it could be. I mean, it was at the beginning of the season, but I think the Fuel have just found their fire. Meanwhile, Florida starts off rough. They have Gladiators, but then the Boston, Vancouver, both very winnable. Atlanta could go either way based on how Atlanta's been performing. I think they will return to form a little bit, but that could go either way. Toronto could go either way, and then you've got a lot of good neutral matchups that could, in the right moment, could go either way. You only have one really match with Gladiators, who I think will show back up.
A lot of these games outside of the Gladiators and the Titans, they're against teams in and around the Mayhem, which could potentially have major ramifications for the seedings.
Yeah.
So, these games are easy for the Mayhem, at least most of them are, but they also have implications as well.
Yep. All of that nonsense.
So in a way, Mayhem are the Kingmakers.
Oh, they're okay. Sure, that's if that's really what you want. No, they could be. I mean, they're the team to beat for those teams like Washington's going to be trying to beat their record. I think Boston's going to be really trying to make a statement there. Even Atlanta is going to be trying to solidify their spot at number 7 there. So I think Florida's in a lot of people's sights. Both people from right on that bubble, that number 8 bubble, and then as well as coming from underneath. Florida's we got to take them down. We got to surpass their records and stuff like that. So Florida got to be on their A game this stage, but we're heading into the end of the season, so everybody's got to be on their A game, really, when you think about it. So, but with Richard gone, and now my screen is all messed up because his camera screwed up the layout, but that's okay. We're finishing up.
Curse you, Richard!
Curse you! He abandoned, just like he abandoned us in a quick play game one time. Richard, you're dirt to me. But until next time, everybody, please, thank you so much for joining us. And hit those like buttons, hit those subscribe buttons, and whether it's on Spotify, iTunes, leave us a comment, leave us a review. We love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the new hero Kiriko and the Season 1 Battle Pass and all the new information, as well as who do you think is going to go all the distance this year in the Overwatch League? We'll be covering all the action. Of course, action kicks off this week. Make sure you tune in. And until next time, for the great Abandoning a Spare, for Plexmatic, I am the Drama King. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.